That's what I'm trying to say. A priest pisser, that's what you are. That's who you are gonna be in this game. Marker. So, my name's Dylan. I'm working on a biosynthetic eco-occult horror cyber fantasy game, and obviously needs more adjectives. I'm not talking about Cyborg today as much as I would like to do. Sometimes you play something and you think like, this just freaking rocks, dude. And it is called Munchkins. Oh, there it is. What I'm going to be talking about is Troika. Now, Troika is a science fantasy RPG, but it isn't just like space opera or Shadowrun or any other kind of urban fantasy system where there is magic, but there's also technology. Something that I think that Troika does better than any other game is the fact that it is just willing to be so weird. One of the things that I enjoy the most about it is just the design of the book itself. It has melee weapons, ranged weapons, beastly weapons, and then a random spell table, damage numbers right at the front of the book. So you don't have to roll through some indexes or go through like the entire thing to find stuff you need really fast. They just do the OSR style, like put stuff that matters in the end pages. Stuff on the other end pages is just the oops table. If you want to do magic and you fail, you have to roll on this oops table. There's D66 options. Some of the stuff that is oops, there's a flash followed by a shriek. The wizard is now a pig. Huh? Huh? It's just a pig now? That can happen in Troika. One that happened during a game that I ran, 43. All vegetation within a mile withers and dies. Can you imagine if you're going out in a forest and you're trying to cast a spell or whatever, and then all of a sudden the wizard goes, oh yeah, I cast it on this guy, and then instead it's just do 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 do, and all the plants wither at once, and you're just in a dead zone because you miscast one spell. Now you might think that's kind of harsh, dude. Like it's a little bit of a punishment for just failing to cast one spell, but like this is what I'm saying about Troika, is that it's so willing to be imaginative and just have crazy stuff happen. Like Daniel Sell, who wrote a lot of Troika, said that he was inspired by these choose your own adventure books from the 90s that I believe were called Fighting Fantasy. I'll put an image of them here. He said like Fighting Fantasy was good because you felt like there was just a thing happens and another thing happens. There was just always some new stuff, and he wasn't sold on Planescape in the realization of the game. Like what he said was he bought Planescape and the execution of it was that how do you even say this? The potential of Planescape is greater than the reality of Planescape. And I can kind of see that. Like this camera is propped up on my Planescape like box set because I mainly use it as a prop for my other game books. They go on a shelf somewhere that you can't see. So another thing about this that's so good is this art, man. Like the camera I'm using on this side doesn't have a monitor, so hopefully you can see that. Look at these arts, dude. Even like the classes themselves, they're not really classes, they're backgrounds. Like who was your character before you started adventuring in the game? Number 12, Befouler of Ponds. You're a wise person, a high priest, a pond pisser. It's a typical but committed adherent to the PP sharp. The bloated toad god has no church other than the periphery of ponds where the foulness catches in the reeds, and no congregation other than the gnats and dragonflies. You minister to them all the same. What? What are you talking about? Who even You know what I mean? It's like you get assigned characters in this game by rolling 2d6. So imagine it's like the first time your friend brings brings Troika, and they go, oh yeah, roll me 2d6. Oh, you got 1 and a 2. Guess what? You piss. You're a piss boy. You're just a priest pisser. That's what I'm trying to say. A priest pisser. That's what you are. That's who you are gonna be in this game. The possessions: sackcloth robes, caked in stinking mud and undergrowth. +1 to sneak rolls in marshy terrain while wearing them. -1 everywhere else, cause it stinks. You're so filth that you are stinking up your ability to hide from people. Huh? You also got a large worn wooden ladle, damage as a mace. So this dude's been serving up the soup to the 5. Delicious. And he's just bonk. He's going out there, he's bonking people. The greatest wizard spell is not fireball, and it's not gun. It's just gonk with the ladle, dude. Troika also has this funky mechanical system that are skills and advanced skills. So when you are first making your character, you roll 1d3 plus 3 to determine skill, 2d6 plus 12 to determine stamina, roll 1d6 plus 6 to determine your luck, and then you have baseline positions, and then you roll up a character from D66 backgrounds. You could be a parchment witch. Look at this. Look at this lady. That would be sick, dude. And then you have what's called advanced skill. When you are rolling, everything is 2d6. If you want to do combat, it's 2d6 contested. If you want to do a skill check, it is 2d6 plus your skill, or it is 2d6 plus your advanced skills. No, it's skill checks you want to roll under your skill, but still using the 2d6. For example, we're sticking with Befouler pawns here, all right? Little piss boys everywhere. Advanced skills: 3 spells of drowning. You have 3 levels in swim. You have 2 spells of tongue twister, 2 spells of undo. You just whoosh, that didn't happen. We're out of here. That didn't happen. We're out of here. 1 spell of web. You have slightly higher sneak, and then you have 1 of second sight, which I'm sure you can interpret whatever that is. Special: you never contract a disease as a result of drinking stagnant liquids. This dude can't be killed by being nasty, okay? That actually would have been useful for one of my players, because they got nasty. They nasty, boy. Just that alone is pretty sick, right? That's pretty funny, because like, in D&D you can be, okay, you're a wizard, you're a sorcerer, you're this or that. Now they're adding like Scion and Mystic or whatever. And then you've got like fighters, which are like, I can see the benefit of those, right? Like, it is somewhat of a cool thing to be like, oh, I'm a barbarian. I'm so mad that I don't take as much damage because I'm just too pissed. Yeah, dude, I wish that happened to me too, because sometimes that's how I'm feeling. But like, this guy is so crazy. And you just start off as this guy. Like, this is that meme where it's like campaign 1, campaign 6, or whatever. But instead, in Troika, you just start off, it's campaign 6, baby. We're going. Things are happening out there. The advanced skills give you more space. But the other cool thing about advanced skills is like, you try to roll under whatever your skill is at the beginning of character creation with your 2d6. If you're trying to do something that you have not done before and then you succeed, you get to add that type of action to advanced skill on your character sheet, and then at the next time you rest, have like, oh, skill plus 1 level in I think one of the skills is literally like advanced breathing or whatever. So you're just better at breathing than other people because one time you tried to get advanced breathing and you succeeded. Also, you can just make some up. The book fully says like, oh, you don't have an advanced skill for this? Make one up. So like your characters can get better and better at stuff that they do, even if it's really weird niche things. One of my players has like 2 ranks in Intimidate staff because we were doing the adventure at the back of the book, which is also really funny. Like everything about Troika is just funny, but one of the things that's funny is like my player was so mad at the staff of the hotel because in the adventure you like arrive at the hotel and you try to get up to your room, which is on the 6th floor of the hotel, and you can either take a lift or you can take the stairs, and different things will happen in each area. But the staff in the hotel pissed her off so much that she got 2 ranks in like Intimidate staff, which nobody else has that in my game, right? It's just her because she kept trying to intimidate the mandrill in the elevator, who's wearing a gas mask while there was a gaseous globule filled with jewelry riding the lift with us, and it was like suffocating everybody because of its noxious mass. And she was so cheesed. So now she's better at like Intimidate staff. You know, like there's that thing in Skyrim or whatever, Skyrim. But the thing in Skyrim, you get better at the stuff that you continue to do. But of course it's video games, so it has to be like a thing that has already been determined that you're capable of doing it. That's the good thing about TTRPGs is like you can actually decide to do stuff that is not prescriptive. That's the entire point, is the agency. This even more so is like you can just get better at a thing that you've done before, no matter how whack it is. This game, it's so good that I just have to have this delicious mocha. This is not a super thick book, but a lot of it is player options. Like I'd say 80% of the book is actually just player options, and then you have some pages for just weird ass enemies. Like look at this guy. Battery's running low. Hold on. Don't worry, Emil. Look how creepy this is, man. I just got this from somewhere. I don't know, but I really like Nier Automata, so of course I have to have Emil with me. Alright, but Emil's going away now. Get up. Here's just another weird guy, is Dragon. Okay, that doesn't seem that crazy. It's a dragon, right? Here's the art of the dragon. Look at this. That's insane. And then here's the description. Dragons are creatures of hyper light. What? Unbounded by base matter, able to soar across the dark sea of sky between worlds. Since their spirits are immortal and illuminated by black suns, they may and often do indulge in base activities such as wanton slaughter, accumulating needless wealth, and plumbing the depths of forbidden knowledge. So, have you guys ever seen, it was like season 1 of Fantasy High. There's the scene where Brennan's going,
remember, Kristen, the greatest magic of all. Do you remember?
Is friendship.
What the is wrong with you? All this love is the greatest magic of all. So in a war, and a mother and her children get iced in an alleyway outside of their home, was the problem that they didn't love each other enough? That's crazy, Kristen.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy. Love is not magic. Magic is magic. Love is love.
Okay, what's the answer, cokehead?
Chronomancy, as I said at your first day.
He's kind of right. Like those time dragons in D&D did seem interesting, but actually, I would argue that the greatest magic of all is quantum entanglement, dude. Because if you're a dragon made of hyper light, unbounded by base matter, you're getting all folded up. That is crazy. And like, this is what I mean, is there's just so much imagination packed into just one place. It's rules light. I think that's what I was saying before I got excited about the dragons, is like, you can roll up these characters real fast because you roll 3 numbers, then you roll 2d6 to find out who you are. But this gremlin catcher, that rocks. One of my players was this, Lanquier, and she loved it. She had these little pistols. She was ripping around. It's so rules light. Let me just show you how many rules there are in page numbers. Here we go. This is how many of the pages are rules in the book. One of those is more beautiful art. Then you have, on the other side, you have just a bunch of spells that all do really cool stuff. That sometimes they're dangerous, but sometimes they just do like really weird things. And it's super rules light in character creation, but also it was so rules light that we were playing the adventure, the Blank Mage and Thistle adventure. And one of my players was like, oh, so you can check if you can do anything in this game, right? And I was like, yeah, probably. If you roll 2d6 and it's under your skill and a skill that you don't have, you can probably do that thing because that's what the dice say. That's how I decided to run it. And so they're walking on the stairs and she goes, oh yeah, there's this giant mural on the wall. I want to just jump into the mural. I just want to get in there. It's freaking Mario 64. And and she succeeded. So how am I going to make this work? And so I was like, okay, I know what the things are in the painting. Give me like 5 minutes. So I go outside with the book and I'm like, okay, I know what the things are in the painting, and she succeeded. So I went to the back of the book and I looked for, not even the back, I just looked through the descriptions of some of the enemies until I found ones that seemed about the same size and like relative power as the things that were in the painting. Not even relative power, I just looked like what would be like a similar shape that would make sense. And then I was like, okay, so you guys decide to jump through this painting, act of wondrous magic yet unbeknownst to you and the other hotel guests. You, instead of bonking your head on the wall, which is what I thought was gonna happen, you guys get into the painting and there are these 2 occultists there shaking hands and they're surrounded by these demons. And I rolled to see how they're gonna react to the players, and they were friendly. And then we played the rest of our 2.5 hour session. So like we had 2.5 hours to play, and it had only been like 15 minutes. And we ran the rest of the session based on a thing that is not in the adventure, that's not in the book at all, but like it gives you the space and also the opportunity with its strangeness to just be like, oh, you want to do this thing in an adventure that it literally didn't exist until 17 seconds ago? You can do that. With Troika, you can do that. It has other really funky mechanics too, like the initiative system is like you get a bunch of just little pieces, little tokens, that some of them that have matching color. You put all those into a bag, you shake the bag around, you pull one out, that's who's acting in initiative. You pull another one out, that's who's acting in initiative. It's very like it almost feels like a little bit occult, you know, a little bit like what's going on here. But I kind of like that, obviously, because my game's a little bit eco-occult. The skills, of course, are the funkiest thing of all, but also it has the trope of like a world that is friendly to adventure. You can kind of think of it as like One Piece. Like One Piece is set up for my loose understanding. Let's see if I can talk about One Piece so my friend completely misunderstanding. There's pieces of land, and then there is the ocean around it. There's like a kind of a semicircle of ocean, and then beyond that sea there's some other stuff, but the people in this part of the land don't know what's beyond that first ocean. And so the adventure of the One Piece crew is the Straw Hats, that's what they're called, I didn't forget, is they go through all these different oceans. They go through the like 7 oceans or however many it is. I don't know, the show's been on for like almost as long as I've been alive, so there's no way to tell. But there's all this space of unknown possible things that you could get out there and learn, or you could get out there and see. Like it's possible that there's some stuff out there that nobody imagined before, that you could have like only imagined by going on this adventure together. And I think that rocks. The reason why I thought like, okay, I'll upload this video to my YouTube channel is Troika is one of the main reasons why I chose to make my game science fantasy. Is like, for one, it provides the space for imagination, as I just said, but for two, it's just funny. Like, I think that sometimes games are too afraid to like be funny, or to be like quirky or have new stuff, or to just do things that aren't like, you get it? You know, like the 3 kobolds in a trench coat. That's kind of funny. I mean, that's decently funny. It's not like a little funny. That's a little bit funny. You know, if I told somebody like, oh yeah, we see a weird guy moving, it turns out it's actually like 3 kobolds in a trench coat, that would be a laugh. But it wouldn't be that much of a laugh compared to like, I don't even know what. The spells on the oops table in this book actually have quite a bit of overlap, like quite a lot of commonality with like Cyborg, because it was science fantasy and there's all this imagination space, which I keep saying. Like Cyborg kind of has the same thing, because they don't say like, this is canon for this is canon for that. Troika actively avoids having a canon as well, but it's very British. It's like intrinsically British. Like one of the skills is etiquette, which in my opinion is funnier or like more interesting than charisma as a stat, because charisma is kind of like facing in one direction. It's kind of just like trying to be a Chad, or trying to be like, hello lads, whatever. I don't know if I'm charismatic or not, but etiquette in Troika is like, it's not like how mannersly are you, like it's not like, yes, I'm here and I'm prepared to do the tea. No, it is how good are you at interacting with the people, using the social standards of their group or of their society. So like, even in the hotel, in the adventure in this game, there is like a slug king and his retinue, but then there's also these very standoffish mandrill staff members. Their senses of etiquette are completely different, but if you have high etiquette, you understand what you need to do to interact with them in a way that would be appealing to that group. And that is, to me, that's just a lot funnier, because it gives you space to like be nasty, but also be extremely proper, or just do like, everything can be normal except for like one part of the interaction is super freakish in some way. Like, oh, when you meet somebody, yeah, he goes up to shake his hand, and then when you shake his hand back, he's mad because he's like, where's your tongue? Huh? What do you mean? And he goes, well, obviously when you meet somebody, you lick their hand and then they lick your hand. You can do that. You can just come up with that. I also think that science fantasy is the grandest genre. I think that the kind of irresponsibility of having like technology and magic occurring together at once gives you just a way bigger ceiling, a way more opportunity to do stuff. You can have an occultist who runs like a food truck, and also his phone is like a crystal but then he is like offended if he sees a TV, and you're like, how does that work? You know what I mean? Like, that's just social stuff. I decided like, oh, well, sometimes magic isn't just like you do fire, you do lightning, you cause a storm, you know, light or snuff a candle. Sometimes magic can just be really weird. So like, I was reading Troika, and then I thought like, I'll do some etiquette-based spells, some like social interaction spells that go against people's sense of social propriety. So I did one called Unfortunate Stain, which is like you cast this on somebody and it creates a very unfortunate stain on their clothes, and their friends will be like, dude, ew, man, brother, ew. Or you can have one where it's like unending sneeze. They keep sneezing over and over and over until they like seek medical aid, or they seek like magical aid to make it stop. And after like 10 minutes of them continuously sneezing, it starts like hurting their body. So you can like damage over time using a sneeze. And I just thought like, that's something that I haven't seen before, so I'm gonna put that in there. Or like, instead of landslide, I was like, oh, well, what about if you do something just absolutely horrendous? And you do like, I cast Tooth Ball, which is just an orb of teeth. And there's little like canines and whatever. And then it just rolls around the battlefield until it deals D6, or maybe it's 2D6, I forget, to just people in the battlefield. And that's technically an aberration, it's not magic. But like, just things of like, magic can be goofy as hell and also dangerous. More things that inspired classes and stuff. Like this freaking rocks so hard. Member of Miss Kensington's Dining Club. This person is so good at both biting food and then also consuming food that they have a rank in gastrology. What does that mean? That means that if you decide to eat something that should not have been eaten, you have a decent chance of just being able to absorb it with no ill effects at all. You know how often it's useful for somebody to just eat their way through just anything? One of my players got member of Miss Kensington's Dining Club, and there was almost no obstacle that she couldn't figure out how to eat her way out of it. And that's the stuff about it. It wicked rocks, dude. I've been filming for a little bit now, and I feel like I could keep talking about interesting things in here, but I think that I've gotten my point across, which is like, this book is super cool. The art is really cool. There is so much weird stuff in there, so much, like I said, imagination space to do whatever. And that's not even counting community supplements like this, Triunic, which it is progression rules, because Troika doesn't have so much advanced progression. So that somebody in the community built one out. They came up with just a bunch of really cool things, man. Here, esoteric devices. There's a bunch of random gizmos. So you roll on these tables, and its function is divorced from its shape. So like, if you see a crossbow, you basically get what it's going to do. If you have a sort of like Keragot's sword or whatever, like you kind of know like, okay, this is some kind of bad guy's sword, and it gives me like +3 to hit, and it does like damage, and then 3 times per day is magic, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, listen to this. The form of the esoteric object takes is, actually let me get some dice. We're back, baby. The form of the esoteric object takes is 32. A copper pistolet engraved with angular runes emitting an eternal cold mist. Whoa, what does it do? Its function 51, a sullen boggart appears and must do your bidding for the next hour, after which it's free from control. And then it has stats for the boggart. Hold on, so there's an archaic pistolet with runes on it that it's cold mist, and then I fire it but a Boggart appears? Yeah, dog. Here, let's do another one. 31. An onyx tablet with glowing white equations rolling in its depths. So it's an onyx, like, it's like opaque, right? So it's like an onyx tablet, then inside, and its function is 43. Your fists are imbued with gravitational energy. The next time you hit an opponent with an unarmed attack, it counts as a mighty blow, rendering them unconscious. So you you decide to use the tablet, and then the tablet goes, guess what? Your fists are the fucking boom, gravity punch. Holy cow. And this is a community thing. Like, this is a third-party supplement that's just compatible with Troika, put out by Exalted Funeral and Ecstatic Entropy. That's what I mean, is like, you start off with the weirdness, and then you go from there, and you just get so much imagination that you otherwise wouldn't get in like very trad RPGs. I'm trying to absorb all that energy from Troika and put it into a cyborg hack, because I think that like the brutality of cyborg already lends itself to humorous situations. You know, being able to combine that the brutality of humor, that kind of grim humor, with something that is just so woo-woo, so out there, is just like a really good opportunity to prevent or to create things that we haven't seen before. I'm really tired of these recursive aesthetics we're getting nowadays. Like, there are some games out there that are very OSR, very D&D inspired, doing fun stuff. Like, I think the DCC magic system is really cool, and the Shadow Dark seems like it is like the new best way to play a D&D game. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about something that I think frickin' rocks. Wanted to include a little bit about like how it inspired me to make stuff. So if you are interested in anything that I've said, buy Troika. If you're interested in how would a game with 8 adjectives based on one of the most crushing game systems out there be combined with the spirit of Troika, you can check out my game, which is called DREAMFOAM ULTRA. I probably should have introed it at the beginning of the video. Yeah, there is playtest material on my itch page. I'll link it somewhere, wherever. I'll link my playtest material. And if you try it out and you think it's good, let me know. If you don't, then let me also know, because playtesting is about finding what works. It's about finding what doesn't work. If you think it could be weirder, whatever, let me know. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. I hope you all have a great day. Like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.